Well, China's COVID emergency could once again threaten supply chains here in Australia. For more on this, I'm joined live now by Freight and Trade Alliance Director Paul Zalai. Paul, thanks for your time this morning. Just how big of an impact do you think this could have?
Look, it's still very early days, so we're not quite sure of the full impacts, Christy. It depends very much on the sector. We're hearing some areas, like some of the textile factories in Zhejiang, for example, have been closed now early for the Chinese New Year. So they're going to have 2 months, a 2 month break to try and overcome this. But look, other importers have been probably pretty well prepared for this by the pure nature of the disruption that we've experienced over the last 2-3 years. We've traditionally been very reliant on just-in-time inventory, holding minimal stock onshore, but the issues that we've had with international shipping and the like has forced a lot of importers to change their patterns, now holding a lot more stock onshore. And now that the Christmas rush is over and the sales are well and truly on the way, I think we will have probably a reasonable period where we should be okay, seeing us through till after that Lunar New Year.
And obviously we saw the impacts throughout the COVID pandemic, and we're still seeing those impacts now. Had those supply chain issues caught up at all or improved prior to this new COVID emergency in China?
Yeah, look, they have. A lot of the congestion that we saw in ports around the world, particularly in the US and parts of Europe and Asia, the congestion there, those ports have largely sorted themselves out now. So we've got trade moving a lot more freely, and as a result, we've seen international freight rates also come down significantly, which is something that no one really expected to happen so quickly. So there's a little bit more positive news there for our importers and exporters.
Yeah, that is some good news. You mentioned the textiles. What are some of the main industries that are likely to be impacted by these issues?
Look, it's going to be it could be anyone. So one of the other issues that we're hearing at the moment is a lot of the manufacturers within China that are operational are waiting on components themselves. We're hearing that the courier services within China are struggling just, again, with the high levels of absentees and illness, that, courier services are very much delayed within China itself, even affecting the civilians. We're hearing reports of supermarkets with shopping bags just waiting for collection. So there is internal logistics and supply chain issues within China which are causing problems, and it could impact almost any sector.
Is there hope that these issues could one day return to so-called normal, or is this something that we will just have to learn to live with going forward?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Probably my predictions over the last 2-3 years haven't come too good. It's very hard to predict what's going to happen next. But look, the signs there that things will start returning back to normal. We've also, in parallel to what's happening globally, to the credit of the previous government and now the former government, the present federal government, they've tasked the Productivity Commission to look at Australia's maritime logistics system. And the draft report coming out of the Productivity Commission was very encouraging, making a whole lot of positive recommendations for reform along the lines of having a look at the shipping competition regulation that gives leniency to international shipping lines. Now, terminal access charges, we hear a lot of controversy about our high road tolls, where we've got a much bigger toll on our transport operators at the stevedores, and the Productivity Commission recommended an overhaul of that as well. So many factors being looked at domestically to complement, hopefully, the improved international operating environment. The other big issue, is I do encourage the importers that might be listening to this to work very closely with their international freight forwarders. They've got their ear close to the ground here, and be working with their overseas agents or officers, and they'll be the ones that will be best placed for the China situation anyway to help out the logistics sector during this time.
All right, Paul, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks again, Christy.